All right, so this is a very interesting video we're going to watch. Shout out to y'all. If you want to hang out, we can. Please do. There's a channel that does like gym shoe restoration. And one of their restorers, his name is Vic Almighty. And Vic had this idea. What if Michael Jordan had signed with Adidas? And that was my question. What would it look like? What would the world look like if Michael Jordan had signed with Adidas? I think the shoe world would be totally different. It would be a different place if Michael Jordan had signed with Adidas. That's what I believe. However, he actually made a pair of Jordans into a pair of Adidas. It is the funniest video. It is so entertaining because he's very passionate about gym shoes. And Vic Almighty is a top tier shoe restorer. And so I thought this was a great video. I had a lot of fun watching it. I'm just rocking with y'all, letting y'all watch it with me. So please, if you don't mind, we're just gonna have a good time. This one is fun. If you don't want to, if you're not interested in how they break down gym shoes and restore gym shoes, then the next couple minutes are going to be, well, the next 20 minutes is, you're not going to like it. But if you do, I think you'll have fun. So this is just cool. 1984, y'all. I remember 1984. I remember 1984. Your boy was 10 years old. Shout out. Let's get ready to go. Ladies and gentlemen, with no further ado, green hearts in the chat, you can hear.
Time. Space. Sneakers. It isn't a straight line. It's a collection of moments stitched together by choices. One decision can change everything and create endless sneaker possibilities. And I've seen every sneaker timeline ever created. Pairs that define generations. Customs that never should have worked, but did. I am Vic Almighty. What if he didn't just do it? A completely different legacy. No air, no jump man. Follow me as we ponder the question, what if? This is going to be one of the funnest projects I've ever worked on. What if Michael Jordan didn't sign with Nike? What if the Air Jordan 1 never existed? My life and the entire world could probably be so different. All those shoes back there will probably be Adidas. This right here is an original 1985 Jordan 1, the sneaker that started it all. The idea today is to take it fully apart, reconstructed Adidas style. Let's get to work. Now, I could have easily just grabbed any 2026 Air Jordan 1 and done this custom with, but it just would not hit the same unless it was an 85 Jordan 1. Don't worry, I don't have the full pair, so I don't feel as bad for taking this shoe apart and rebranding it with Adidas. With all that being said, before I can create a whole nother shoe, I gotta destroy it. I'm gonna take out the shoelace insole, grab the blade, and start chopping the shoe apart.
Old and crusty.
Now, the idea for the shoe is to restore it and customize it with Adidas branding. All the Nike branding you see right now is gotta go. The two swooshes on each side, the Nike tongue tag, it's gonna be this Wings logo. I've never wiped off a Wings logo from an actual 85 Jordan 1, so that part is gonna be crazy. Once the shoe is fully customized, put back together, it's gonna be an Adidas sneaker, but this is still an 85 Jordan 1. I wanna keep it as authentic as possible, so I'm gonna keep all the leather, the tongue, OG. I'm only going to be adding some new parts where I need to. At this point, there is no going back. Once the shoe is fully apart, it's never going to look the same as it is right now. Let's take one final look at the original Nike Jordan 1.
Hear that crunch? That's old foam right there.
It's crusty.
That will get replaced.
I've never owned a pair of Nikes. I don't think I've ever actually put my feet in a pair of Nikes. I've worn some shoes that were not Adidas, but I've never worn Nikes before, ever.
Flakes in there. First things first is popping the sole off. I want to keep it intact. It's cool to keep as a keepsake, but most of the time these crack in pieces. I'm going to start with a pick. We got to pick off the entire stitch. Once the stitching is off, we'll grab this screwdriver and we'll start prying off the sole. All right, stitching is off. I can't wait to show you guys the new sole that I'm going to be putting on this 85 upper. I've always swapped these with Air Jordan 1 soles. It's going to be the first time ever putting a completely different sole. That was tough.
Damn. That's 40-year-old worth of polyurethane and a broken inner unit. All right, sole is off. That was the hard part. Now at this point, we just gotta take the rest of the shoe apart. I'm gonna remove the lasting board, and at that point, start chopping up the shoe. Now at this point, I've taken apart a good 10 to 15 85 shoes apart. I've only seen the hidden text twice. I'm hoping I see it right now. This right here is just like Pokemon. We're gonna rip this pack open to see if we have a Charizard. Damn it, this thing is on there. You can frame this, we can sell this. It's just an awesome piece. We got a Charizard, YouTube. This right here, it says, of the highest quality. Freaking sick. Now, the best thing I could do for this upper is give it a good deep clean. I doubt in the last 40 years it's ever been cleaned up. This leather is good, genuine leather. It's still soft, but it's a little stiff. Our solution contains natural oils, and our mink oil does as well. Once we apply it onto the shoe, it's gonna loosen up this leather and give it a nice sheen and just make it healthier overall for years to come. But before we could get to that point, all underneath where the original sole was, it's covered in old glue, old polyurethane. It's very sandy. If I go straight to cleaning up the shoe, all that gunk is gonna get onto the uppers and dry with it. I don't want that. So I'm gonna start the prep work and get that out the way. Basically what I'm gonna do is go outside with the Dremel and shave this entire part down to remove the old glue and get it ready for a good deep clean. Dremeling is done. Before we can start cleaning, we gotta do the exact same thing.
All right, Jason, why are you watching this? I'm always fascinated by people who are passionate about whatever their little hobby is. If it's collecting, if it's cutting grass, if it's restoring, I don't know, Yetis, whatever. I just think it's always cool to watch people who are really passionate about it. Vic Almighty is passionate about customizing Nike shoes. It is so interesting to me. Now, I wish he was customizing, Adidas, but, not everybody can be perfect. So one of the things I like is to watch people really passionate about and see, is there anything that's transferable? Can I transfer that to anything else? So, just his meticulous nature here is going to be pretty staggering. So I'll make sure I leave the link to this if you want to go check out what they're doing over here. I think it's super interesting, but how meticulous he is about, he's going to take this whole shoe apart. Like literally every piece of it is going to come apart. And the fact he's going to put it back together again. And again, it's going to be an Adidas. Like I was staggered. I was stunned. It's going to be an Adidas. I'm absolutely a nerd now. This is my third time watching it. Yep. Generally speaking, I don't watch my videos before I react to them, but this one I watched and I'm so glad I did. I love watching people. That's why I joke about auto detailing, because I like when people find something that they're really good at and they just do it. And you're like, wow, I would take my car all the way to California for you to detail my car because you do such a great job. I would I just think it's so cool. So anyway, that's why we're watching this. So shout out to Vic Almighty at Shoe Rejuvenator. Let's go.
On its collar area, we got to remove all the old foam. This is a common issue with 85s. Over time, the comfy foam that once was turns into cereal. You can hear it. Just a bunch of nasty stuff inside. What I don't want to do is grab water and solution and get it on that stuff. It turns really messy. I'm going to grab the seam ripper, pop the stitching off from both panels right here. There's a black stitch line on both sides. Once I pop it off, the sock liner should be able to lift and all that old foamy stuff inside will come right out. So if you're going to wear a mask for this one, this is what's inside all your 85 sneakers. Glad I wore a mask. This stuff is disgusting. See?
Then you play with it though.
Old foam. Probably bad for me to touch as well.
Right.
But the last thing you want to do is keep this in your shoes and wear them. That's disgusting. We have a clean base to work with before we actually go in and clean up the shoe. I'm going to clean out this entire desk before we can move on with this restoration. When it comes down to it, my favorite thing when it comes to working on 85 Jordan 1s is giving it its first deep clean ever. The materials they used on this shoe was high quality, good thick leather all around. Right now at the moment it's crunchy and dried out. Our Rejuvenator solution contains natural oils. Once it's applied onto the leather, it helps recondition it and keeps it healthy for years to come. All you need is a couple drops mixed with some water. This stuff is highly concentrated. The only brush I'm going to be using is our soft bristle brush. It's the best brush to create the most suds, and it's going to work perfectly on these leather uppers.
All right, let's turn this into therapy. All right, now I'm not Dr. Cheyenne Bryant. Let's turn this into therapy hour. Go ahead and put your guilty pleasure, whether it be, guitar amps or watching food videos, watching car detail videos, those grass restoration videos where the guy comes and takes a house that's been completely overgrown with weeds and cuts it down. Just put in the chat. Go ahead. There's no judgment zone here. No judgment. Let's go.
Now, normally when it comes to 85s, I'm very careful when it comes to the collar area. So you can see it's starting to lift up and peel pretty bad. I might touch it up later, so I'm not really worried about it. It's gonna start flaking off as I work on the shoe. So far, so good. What I'm not worried about is saturating the sneaker. That's exactly what I want. I want this upper to be soaking wet so the solution can penetrate the leather and do its work. With this cleaning, I scrub the entire upper. The one thing I'm not worried about is the insides. Normally, I scrub the insides as well. In this case, it's all going to get replaced, so I'm not worried about that one right now. One thing I like to do when the leather is all soaked up is to try to reshape the shoe in areas that I can. There's a lot of heavy creasing, toe box crushed, same thing with the sides. It's easier to reshape the sneaker when it's wet. It's not going to remove all the creasing, but it's definitely going to make a difference. Normally, I put the upper on a last for it to dry, but in this case, I don't have a size 11, so we're trying to make it work. It's not perfect, but it will do. That looks good. Let's put the shoe outside to dry. Real quick, can't forget about the shoelace. This is also OG. We want to give it a good clean. What I like to do with these laces though, I like to just let them sit inside some water and solution and just let them marinate for a couple days. Right now, the water's pretty clear. In 24 hours, you're gonna see this water turn yellow. Let's go outside. Be back in 30. Shoes all cleaned up and dried. The leather on this sneaker feels softer and much healthier. The size 9 last wasn't a perfect fit, but it did help a lot. As you can see on that toe box, it has a better shape to it. I'm gonna go ahead and pop off this last. We don't need it no more. Now for the fun part, deconstruction. Got my tools right here, some scissors, seam ripper, and a blade. I'm gonna start taking the shoe apart very carefully. What I don't wanna do is cause more damage to the leather, so I'm gonna take my time. Deconstruction is out the way. This was a dirty process. You guys already know what the Jordan 1 looks like, but I'm gonna break down every single piece that comes with the Jordan 1. To start, the Jordan 1 tongue, Nike tongue tag. This right here is the vamp. Right here, we got the classic mud guard that goes on the vamp. 2 swooshes. These are like made out of vinyl, not leather. These are the eye straps. Right here, we got the medial and lateral corduroy panels. On the inside part, we got some old canvas. This will get replaced. Let's remove that now. Yeah, this is old. I would not put my foot on this. Same thing. This is the backing that went on the vamp. Trash as well. This right here is the collar area with the sock liner still attached. Oh, wow. I'm going to do my best to restore this collar. It's pretty bad looking. Luckily, the sock liner has no holes, so we'll reuse this as well.
That's crazy.
This right here is the heel panel with the heel counter inside. This will give it its shape. Without it, it will just be a flimsy piece of leather. The ankle piece with the classic Wings logo. And lastly, the medial and lateral pieces where the shoelaces go. This right here is the entire Jordan 1. We got to make sure we don't lose anything. We got to reconstruct it back together. Next up is some off-camera work. I'm going to get all these pieces cleaned up and ready by removing all the stitches so we can start putting the shoe back together. Now, at this point in the process, I got all the little loose threads removed, all the pieces fully dusted off. I even took care of some prep work. For these quarter panels, I sanded down the entire piece to remove any roughness. Ultimately though, I need to cover up this original swoosh. Both of these panels gotta be perfectly smooth, like the swoosh is never on there. We're gonna be using some leather filler. This step takes a long time. I'm gonna apply a coat, let it dry, do some sanding, lay down some more leather filler, probably do some more sanding.
Wait, you talking about that guy that cleans the carpets? They get these really nasty, dirty carpets and they clean it. That is interesting. I'm sorry. I had to stop on that one. Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. I've watched that multiple times. Lots of time has been wasted watching it. Oh my gosh. I love those guys. I love them. Wait, I like watching cooking videos. I like it when the food turns out pretty and then the cook takes a bite and it looks like he or she is in heaven. I love it. I love it. I wonder if his ancestors more cobblers, known insult intended, of course. I don't know. I don't remember Vic's history. I just know he's passionate about this doggone restoring shoes, man, or customizing shoes. I think that is just an intro. I just love the fact that you can come up something you're passionate about. You can find a way to make a living of it. That I just absolutely love it. I like talking, and I make a living talking. Right? He likes customizing shoes, and he's done some crazy customizations, some absolutely wild customizations. So shout out to Vic Almighty. Let's go.
Buy some more. Basically, I'm going to redo this step over and over again until these quarter panels are 100% perfect. Leather fillers applied. That step's going to take a while. In the meantime, let's jump over to the collar area.
Come on.
We are going to be using the original sock liner and the original material for the collar. At the moment though, this stuff is peeling like crazy. Most of the time, I like to leave this as is and not mess with it. However, in this case, it's pretty bad and it's only gonna get worse. So at this point, I'm gonna try to scrub it all off and figure something else out. Now, looking at all these parts by themselves, they're in really good condition. Most of these don't have any deep scratches, just some light surface patina. First, I'm gonna give it a quick wipe down with some acetone, so later on I can touch it up with some paint. Part 1 of the prep looks good. Next, I'm gonna grab some 600 grit sandpaper. It's not too bad, but there's a couple areas, such as the heel panel and a couple areas on the mud guard that are pretty rough. Before I paint it, you wanna sand it down to get it nice and smooth. So here's where I'm at after 2 coats of leather filler. Overall, it looks great. Now the key here is to get the finish and the feel of it all 100% consistent throughout the entire panel. To do so, I'm gonna do some more sanding with some 1500 grit sandpaper and 1000. Lay down some more black paint. I'm gonna go back and forth until this job is fully complete. This is gonna take another hour or 2. These right here, I paid 20 bucks, super cheap. Don't need a shoe. Literally the only thing I need, black and red woven tags that'll go nicely with the Jordan 1s.
I'll take them.
20 bucks. I would say it was worth it. I'm gonna take these off very carefully. I only need one, but I'm gonna take off both just in case. The rest of the shoe will go into the donation pile.
I'll take
them.
Shoes
just fine. These will go in donation. All right, this is the first piece of Adidas
left behind,
Jordan
man.
1. Can't wait to put it on the tongue. Now we wait for pair number 2 to come in the mail. And just like that, pair number 2 just came in the mail. This is what we're working with, the Home Alone Adidas Forum. Got these for 50 bucks on eBay, super cheap. These are a size 11, the 85s are 11 and a half. The way those shoes work though, you gotta go half a size down for the soles. With that being said, this will be the sole that we're gonna be using for the Jordan 1. I did my Googles, the Adidas
I have
Forum
no
came
idea
out in
what
1984.
I have no idea what the customization is on that shoe. Is that like eyelashes or something? I have no idea what that is.
The same exact time that MJ would have signed with Adidas. If you ask me, this is probably the sole they would have used for that sneaker. But before we could get there, we got to take the shoe apart. There are some parts on the shoe that I want to save for a future project, such as the tongue tags, the strap, the shoelace, insole. I'm going to remove all that stuff, including the stitching on the sole, to get ready to remove the upper from the sole. All the good stuff is off the shoes. Pop the thread off. I'm going to put some acetone in the sneakers that sit in the back for about 10 minutes, and the uppers will slide right off. I struggled pretty bad trying to get the soles off those 85s, 40-year-old sneakers. These just came out with a little acetone. They slide right off like butter. Now the collars need some work. Originally, I scraped off all the old stuff. It was super flaky. At this point, we just have the brown canvas. Looks pretty ugly as is. Now at this point, the only way to fix it is by painting it, but there is a good technique to make it look like how it originally was. Give it a nice smooth finish. To start, I'm gonna cover up this entire brown area with some Andrews flat black paint. I don't wanna get any paint on the sock liner.
I wonder why he didn't use an airbrush.
Got it nicely covered up. I'm not worried about the center area. That's gonna get covered up by the red leather. Now to seal this, we're gonna be laying down some matte finish. Same exact thing with the paintbrush in one direction. Now to finish this step and make it feel like the original vinyl material, I'm gonna use some parchment paper, put it over the material, and with a little iron, just press over it. What that's gonna do is lock in the paint, give it that slick feel, and also give it that slight shine. Now I'm gonna jump back to the sole. It does have a nice creamy tint all around the right. However, it doesn't look vintage enough. So for this, we're introducing the coffee method. We want to get it a lot more yellower looking, like it looks like it's 40 years old. So I'm going to brew up some coffee, put the sole in the tray. Once it's all ready to go, I'll pour it inside, let it sit for about 10 to 20 minutes until I get the perfect shade. Now this project requires a lot of work with the restoration and customization. The soles are cooking right now in the coffee. To multitask, I'm going to start painting the leather parts. Got the red pieces right here and black. For this, I'll be using some flat black paint and this custom mix paint. This red is 100% match to this stuff. It's got to be on point. I think I'm gonna start with the red, move on to the black. In just a few minutes, we're gonna check on those soles. At this point, it's about 20 minutes. I don't wanna overdo it, the sole out so we can rinse it. That is giving 1985. Now, jumping back to the sole, check out that nice creamy tint. Has a beautiful natural vintage tone all around. The rubber, the plastic on the heel cup took nicely, especially the netting right here. It looks straight up vintage. So now I'm gonna go ahead and remove all the yellow glue. That way when the upper is ready, this sole is already ready to go. Now the next piece of Nike branding that's gotta go.
Watch this.
However, it would be a complete crime to go in with some acetone and wipe the full thing off. It's in really good condition. The only thing I wanna do for this part is remix the wings logo. For the most part, I wanna keep it as is. The thing is, the main part that I really want to change is the air piece that is very Nike. I want it to be very on brand with 80s Adidas basketball. So my best choice for this is Pro Jordan. It fits perfectly in where the air is, and I don't have to go in and remove the Jordan. Pro Jordan sounds something like Adidas would have named the sneaker. I'm gonna go in and carefully prep the air. I'm also gonna go in and change up the basketball line work. For the most part, I wanna keep it as is, but I just wanna change the style of the basketball. First, let's prep it up with some sandpaper. Then we'll go in with some black paint. So I got the basketball sanded down. The thing with the Wings logo from 85, everything is etched in. You can see the line work and the basketball even with the paint off. I'm gonna grab a small iron and some parchment paper and try to remove that line work. All right, at this point, that's as good as it's gonna get. I'm gonna lay down some red paint to cover up the ball and some black paint to cover up the air. We'll go from there. So at this point, here's where I'm at. I removed the old basketball, covered up the old air. Now it's time to apply the new stencils. I got the Pro right here. I think it's the perfect size. Just got to mess with it a little bit. I got a new shape basketball. The idea for this is to kind of keep it the same Wings logo, but with a little remix. I don't want to overdo it. I just want it to be nice and subtle.
It's a little remix.
This comes out smooth because this is a big part when it comes to 85 Jordan 1. I'm super happy with how the basketball turned out so far.
Crazy.
It's super factory. Now this next part is going to be a little bit trickier. I'm going to be putting the Pro in front of the Jordan, but it's got to have the exact same spacing, the exact same curvature, and the red's got to be on point. So with that being said, I'm going to lay it down and at that point adjust it if I need to. Probably spray one letter at a time just so I can make sure everything looks good.
That is crazy.
The painting portion is fully out the way. Moving on with this restoration and custom, when I was Googling the 1984 Adidas forums, one little detail that I noticed, all the lace holes have metal eyelets just like this. It's a subtle detail, but I think it makes a big difference with this build. The only problem is the backing wasn't long enough to get all the layers of leather. So to make it work, I'm just gonna do it on a single piece of leather. I'm gonna start with the black ones, make sure they're on point, and then finish with the red. Next up is the quarter panels. Now at this point, it's all about replacing the old branding. I went on Amazon and found some material that's really close to the original material they used for the swooshes. I'm gonna go ahead and draw a
Remember what you said here, Heather. Remember what you said here. Just remember it. Just remember what you said.
They all got to be the exact same. Now at this point, super easy stuff. You just cut right outside the line. Make sure you keep it nice and consistent to create those perfect Adidas stripes. Now in order to make sure everything's pieced properly, exactly how it went before, we got to apply some glue first. Once it's good to go, we'll heat it up, stay it together, and then with the sewing machine, lock it in place. I'm gonna be applying a bunch of glue on every single piece. That way I can just focus on sewing afterwards. Glue is fully laid down. Now there's one material that I still gotta replace, and that is backing for the vamp and the quarter panels. Luckily, I got the same exact material and the perfect tint to match the age. That's a major difference. Now, before I can attach this entire piece onto the leather, I gotta sew the tongue, the backing, and the leather. The way this works is you attach the tongue onto the vamp, put this canvas piece right over it. Once it's sewn on, you flip it over, glue it on, and that should be it. All right, all three parts are connected. Looks a little funky right now. We're gonna go to the machine and add 2 stitch lines, and that'll lock everything in place. Now, at this point, I'm gonna spray some spray glue onto the canvas so I can lay it over the leather and start sewing once again. So far, so good. The next part we're gonna sew on is this black piece onto the red vamp. Not gonna lie, this part was super easy to match up. Just by going off the creases, you know exactly where everything went. Now to lock everything in place, we're gonna add some black stitching now. This panel right here is probably one of the most important pieces when it comes to the sneaker. We remove the swoosh, cut out some new Adidas stripes. Now back to the front part of the shoe. This is probably gonna be the wildest tongue tag swap I've ever done. We already removed the original 85 tongue tag. Now we're gonna be replacing it with a perfect, authentic, red Adidas tag. Now we're not done yet. Normally I would just lay down some glue and get it ready for a Jordan 1 sole, but because we're using a completely different sole, so what I started doing already was creating a new glue line all around. It's gotta match up with the new sole. So you can see where the new glue line is, that's where I gotta Dremel. I gotta remove all this stuff underneath before I can apply the glue. When doing this step, you wanna make sure you go over it 2 or 3 times to make sure everything's symmetrical. Once you start Dremeling, you really can't go back. Prep work's out the way. I'm gonna lay down some glue on the upper, on the sole, let it cure for about an hour, then we'll start bonding. There is no going back now. Glue is fully cured. I'm gonna start with the front, work my way to the back, then do the sides. At this point, I don't wanna mess up. I did like 2 weeks worth of work. It was set to mess it up now. Wow, it's almost surreal looking at this final product. Real quick, without thinking about it too much, I need you guys to look at this shoe, drop a comment down below, and tell me exactly what you think. Does this work? Or is this just completely wrong? If I had to name this project, I would.
Hold on, because he's going to name the project. What do y'all think about that? What do y'all think about it? Let me catch you in a better spot.
Does this work? Or is this?
All right, what do y'all think? I thought it looked fantastic. I'm not a big basketball shoe wearer, but that looks outstanding. Who would have thought that that wasn't real? I'm still just a little taken aback. Like, wow, that's not real. I mean, that's crazy. All right. So remember Heather Rose, I told you to pay attention. Watch what he says here. I thought that was serendipitous what you said. Let's go.
Just completely wrong.
If I had to name this project, I would call it Project Patience. Every single step took so long to execute, you guys, but the final product looks so crazy. I'm so proud of all the work that went into the sneaker. Everything, for the most part, is flawless. It's a used old sneaker, but it got restored and obviously customized. Not a single piece of this 4-year-old sneaker was left untouched. Let's talk about everything that went on with this sneaker. Obviously, we started off with the 1985 red Jordan 1. We took it down to pieces. The entire end tags were completely rotten. As you can see right here, these are the old collar foams, something you don't want to breathe. Same thing with the internals, grimy, never been cleaned up before. All of that stuff got completely replaced. Check out this insole. Again, this is what happens to shoes after 40 years old. During the breakdown process, we also discovered this crazy gem of the highest quality. And this sneaker right here is definitely of highest quality. We replaced all the Nike branding, original Nike tongue tag, that got removed. Original swooshes, carefully removed as well. And of course, the original Jordan 1 sole, gone as well. Now this right here is the first ever official What If Adidas Jordan 1. Two of the most noticeable things about this custom is obviously the 3 stripes and the brand new Adidas Forum sole. Another thing I added that I took inspiration from the original Forums is the plastic eyelets all across the entire top piece. Got all the black ones and red ones on top. Beautiful touch. Going back to the Adidas stripes, that is definitely one of the biggest pieces when it comes to this custom. I didn't want too much negative space to be on this panel. We did a great job removing that swoosh. You can barely even see that it's there. If you look very closely, you might see a little bit of the imprint on both sides.
But I don't see it.
I'm not complaining. That's just the...
I've been looking for a while. I did not see it. I think Vic is just sentimental to it because I couldn't see it.
Ghost of the swoosh. Now, one thing I really want to talk about is the new Wings logo. Plus, those 3 letters are already in Jordan. So all I had to do in the design process was replicate those letters in order to make that Pro fit nicely with the Pro Jordan. You can barely even tell that it's been repainted. Same thing with the basketball. A lot of people don't notice it at first, but it's been completely shifted. The original basketball on the Jordan 1 Wings go in that direction. Mine is perfectly centered. All in all, a lot of time, a lot of energy, and a lot of patience went into the sneaker, but I'm extremely happy and excited to put this shoe with the rest of my customs. Drop a comment down below on what you think about the sneaker. Let me know what you think what the road will look like if MJ signed with Adidas. This is Vic Almighty. I'll catch you guys on the next one. See you guys.
Shout out to Vic. All right, I just thought that was something cool. I just want to do something different tonight. I thought that was super cool that he was able to do that. And again, I find it so interesting that he's very passionate about shoe restoration, as you can tell, and he gets at it. I just thought that was super wild. Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of the JWhit Podcast. If you enjoyed today's show, please do me a favor and hit me up with that 3-piece special. Like the video, subscribe, and of course, share it with somebody who would also enjoy this type of content. And make sure you leave a comment because I do pin the best comments to the top. So thank you so much for tuning in today. And until next time, everybody, grace and peace.